Mastering the Small: How Tiny Actions Create Big Impact, by David Russo. Chapter 1: The Power of Small Actions. We often look at success and achievement as something monumental, a product of a single brilliant idea, a dramatic leap, or a life-changing moment. Yet, if we take a closer look at the lives of people who accomplish great things, we notice a pattern that is far more subtle. They succeed not because of rare bursts of brilliance, but because of small, consistent actions repeated over time. The power of small actions lies not in their immediate impact, but in their ability to accumulate, compounding silently until they produce results that seem almost magical in retrospect. Consider the story of a writer who aspires to publish a book. Writing a novel can feel like a daunting, overwhelming task, and the blank page can be paralyzing. But what if, instead of fixating on the end goal, the writer commits to writing just 200 words a day? 200 words seem almost trivial in isolation. Yet, over a month, that's 6,000 words. In 6 months, a complete draft can emerge. The key is consistency, small, deliberate steps that slowly but steadily create something substantial. The cumulative effect of these tiny actions is what turns ambition into reality. This principle is not limited to creative endeavors. Athletes, business leaders, and innovators all demonstrate the profound influence of incremental progress. Michael Phelps, for instance, did not become the greatest swimmer of all time through sporadic bursts of training. His daily routines, early mornings, strict diets, thousands of laps in the pool, built a foundation that allowed him to perform at his best when it mattered most. Similarly, companies that dominate their industries rarely do so through one-off innovations. They achieve excellence by making small, consistent improvements, refining processes, listening to customers, and iterating products over time. The beauty of small actions is their accessibility. Unlike monumental changes, which can feel intimidating or impossible, small actions are something anyone can take immediately. They are democratizing. They don't require extraordinary talent, luck, or resources. The barrier to entry is low, but the potential payoff is enormous. This is why understanding and embracing the power of small actions can transform not just your work, but your entire life. Yet, the challenge lies in patience and perception. In a culture obsessed with instant results, it's easy to underestimate the impact of a single, seemingly insignificant step. You might plant a seed today and water it faithfully, yet see no visible growth for weeks. That's precisely why so many give up early, unaware that they are on the verge of remarkable progress. The key is to trust the process, to believe in the invisible work that is quietly shaping your trajectory. Over time, those small actions converge, compounding into achievements that exceed even your own expectations. To harness this power, it helps to reframe how we think about effort. Instead of asking, "How can I achieve greatness overnight?" ask, "What small thing can I do today that will move me forward?" It could be making one phone call, writing a single paragraph, running one extra mile, or learning a new concept. Each action alone might appear insignificant, but taken consistently, they become unstoppable forces. The power of small actions is also psychological. Each completed action, no matter how minor, builds confidence and momentum. Progress reinforces itself, creating a virtuous cycle. Small wins encourage more small wins, and the sense of accomplishment fuels further action. Over time, what once felt like an overwhelming mountain becomes a series of manageable steps. You begin to see your potential not as a distant dream, but as a tangible reality shaped by the choices you make every day. Ultimately, mastering small actions is about shifting your focus from the grandiose to the granular. It's about recognizing that greatness is not a single event, but a series of deliberate, consistent efforts. By valuing and committing to the small, you unlock the ability to achieve the extraordinary. The journey of 1,000 miles truly begins with a single step, but it is the 1,000 small steps that follow that determine the distance you travel. Chapter 2: The Mindset of Excellence. Excellence is often mistaken for something grandiose, a trophy, a title, or an extraordinary achievement. In reality, excellence begins quietly, in the small choices we make every day. It is a mindset, a lens through which we view our work and our lives, rather than a destination we eventually reach. The mindset of excellence is the understanding that every action, no matter how minor, carries weight and potential. By cultivating this perspective, ordinary tasks transform into opportunities to create extraordinary outcomes. At the heart of this mindset is the belief that details matter. It is easy to dismiss routine responsibilities as unimportant, yet the accumulation of small details defines the quality of our results. A chef doesn't simply rely on a recipe. Attention to the freshness of ingredients, the precision of timing, and the balance of flavors elevates a dish from good to remarkable. Similarly, a professional who meticulously reviews work, double-checks facts, and anticipates problems is far more likely to achieve excellence than someone who focuses only on the big picture. Excellence is often invisible in the moment, but its effects are undeniable over time. Developing a mindset of excellence requires intentionality. It starts with the way we approach even the most mundane tasks. Sending an email, cleaning a workspace, or organizing notes may seem trivial, yet approaching these actions with care and thoroughness signals a broader commitment to quality. Over time, these small demonstrations of diligence build character, credibility, and skill. Excellence is not about perfection. It's about showing up with integrity, focus, and pride in your work, regardless of scale or recognition. The psychological impact of this mindset is profound. When we take pride in our small actions, we reinforce a sense of competence and self-respect. This, in turn, creates a feedback loop. The more we invest in doing things well, the more motivated we become to maintain that standard. Conversely, neglecting small details can erode confidence, foster complacency, and undermine long-term success. Excellence is a habit, not a one-time achievement, and it thrives in an environment of consistent attention and care. Historical examples abound of individuals who embodied this principle. Leonardo da Vinci, for instance, is celebrated for his masterpieces, yet he was equally meticulous in his scientific sketches, anatomical studies, and notebook entries. These small acts of observation and experimentation were foundational to his extraordinary achievements. In business, leaders like Howard Schultz of Starbucks focused obsessively on details, from customer experience to employee training, creating a culture where excellence became the standard, not the exception. Their successes illustrate that attention to detail and unwavering care in small matters are not secondary to greatness, they are its foundation. Adopting the mindset of excellence also reshapes how we perceive challenges. Instead of being daunted by large projects, we break them into smaller, actionable steps, focusing on quality at each stage. Excellence thrives in incremental progress, the careful preparation of materials, the thoughtful consideration of feedback, and the deliberate refinement of processes. By valuing each step, we not only improve the final outcome but also cultivate patience, resilience, and discipline, qualities essential to sustained achievement. Importantly, this mindset is not limited to work or career. It can permeate every aspect of life. From nurturing relationships to caring for one's health, approaching small responsibilities with intentionality and care strengthens both outcomes and character. Preparing a meal with attention, actively listening in conversation, or maintaining a clean and organized space, all these small actions reflect and reinforce a mindset of excellence. Ultimately, excellence is a choice, exercised consistently in the ordinary moments that many overlook. It is a quiet, powerful force, invisible to the casual observer but transformative to those who embrace it. By committing to quality in everything we do, we create a ripple effect. Our work becomes more meaningful, our impact more significant, and our sense of purpose more profound. Excellence is not an endpoint. It is a way of living, a continuous practice of showing up fully, and a dedication to the idea that the small things, done well, define the greatness of our lives. Chapter 3. Focus, the hidden superpower. In a world buzzing with notifications, constant information, and competing demands, focus has become one of the most underrated yet powerful tools for achieving meaningful results. Focus is the hidden superpower that transforms small actions into significant impact. Without it, even the most consistent efforts can scatter, leaving potential untapped. With it, even modest actions gain extraordinary momentum. Developing focus is not about doing more, it's about doing the right things, with deliberate attention and intention. The essence of focus is clarity, knowing what matters most and dedicating your time and energy accordingly. Most people spread themselves thin, trying to juggle multiple tasks, interests, or projects at once. While multitasking may feel productive, research consistently shows it diminishes efficiency and quality. True focus requires discipline, the courage to say no to distractions, interruptions, and low-priority tasks so that you can invest fully in what truly counts. It is the art of prioritization, where each moment of attention is treated as a finite and valuable resource. One of the most effective techniques for cultivating focus is identifying your core actions, the few tasks that create the greatest impact toward your goals. Instead of reacting to everything that demands attention, you proactively select activities that matter most. A software developer, for instance, might dedicate the first hours of the day to writing code rather than answering emails. An athlete might focus on targeted drills rather than attempting to practice everything at once. By concentrating on the essential actions, we maximize efficiency and amplify the value of every small effort. Minimizing distractions is equally critical. Technology, social media, and even well-meaning interruptions can fragment attention, preventing progress and eroding momentum. Simple habits, such as scheduling uninterrupted work blocks, turning off notifications, or creating a clutter-free workspace, can dramatically enhance focus. Beyond external distractions, internal distractions like doubt, worry, or indecision can be even more insidious. Mindfulness practices, journaling, or brief reflection periods help to quiet the mind, allowing you to approach tasks with clarity and presence. Focus is also a cumulative skill. Just as small actions compound over time, the ability to concentrate deeply strengthens with practice. The more consistently you engage in focused work, the easier it becomes to enter what psychologists call flow, a state of deep immersion where productivity, creativity, and satisfaction converge. In this state, even routine tasks are executed with precision, and complex challenges are navigated with efficiency. Focus turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes by concentrating energy where it matters most. The power of focus is evident in both personal and professional achievements. Consider the stories of individuals like Elon Musk or Marie Curie, who achieved breakthroughs not merely because of intelligence or talent, but because of sustained, undistracted attention to a single problem or project. Their success illustrates that talent alone is rarely enough. It is the persistent application of focused effort that produces breakthroughs. Focus magnifies the effect of small actions, turning them into building blocks of significant accomplishments. Cultivating focus also reshapes how we experience time. When attention is scattered, days feel long, yet progress feels slow. When focus is intentional, even a few hours of concentrated work can yield results that surpass entire days of distracted effort. Focus transforms ordinary time into powerful leverage, allowing you to accomplish more with less effort. It encourages patience and intentionality, teaching that progress is rarely about speed, but about directed energy. Importantly, focus is not about rigid obsession or blind tunnel vision. It is about clarity, choice, and alignment. It requires reflection, experimentation, and occasional adjustment to ensure that your efforts are producing meaningful outcomes. It is a superpower because it allows small, consistent actions to accumulate impactfully, turning modest beginnings into extraordinary results. Ultimately, focus is the invisible thread connecting intention to outcome. It transforms daily habits into progress, routines into mastery, and small actions into profound impact. By deliberately choosing where to place our attention, we unlock a hidden potential that multiplies the effect of every effort. In a world filled with noise, focus is the quiet, unwavering force that shapes achievement, empowers growth, and reveals the true power of doing less, but doing it better. Chapter 4. Consistency over intensity. We live in a world captivated by dramatic wins, sudden breakthroughs, and impressive bursts of effort. Stories of instant success and last-minute heroics dominate our attention, leading many to believe that greatness is born from rare moments of extraordinary intensity. But the reality behind sustainable achievement is much simpler and far more dependable. Steady, repeated effort outperforms sporadic exertion every time. Showing up routinely, even on days when enthusiasm is scarce, creates progress that no single surge of energy can replicate. Consistency is the quiet force that turns ambition into tangible growth. A runner doesn't conquer a marathon after a single grueling training session. It's the accumulation of daily miles and gradual conditioning that builds the stamina required for such a challenge. Likewise, authors don't finish books in a week of frantic inspiration. They nurture their craft through regular writing sessions, sometimes drafting, sometimes revising, each day moving the project forward. These modest but persistent actions compound, generating results far beyond what occasional intensity can offer. One of consistency's greatest strengths is its ability to build momentum. Like a snowball gathering mass as it rolls downhill, small actions develop their own inertia. At first, progress may feel insignificant, almost invisible, but every repetition refines skills, strengthens habits, and increases confidence. Eventually, the cumulative impact becomes unmistakable, and what once felt distant begins to feel inevitable. Another gift of consistency is that it eases the pressure surrounding high-intensity efforts. When we rely on rare bursts of productivity, we invite stress, the fear of falling short, the weight of the ticking clock, the anxiety of having to perform at our peak. Consistent effort spreads the workload over time, making large goals manageable and less intimidating. It cultivates patience and reminds us that meaningful progress is usually slow but always reachable when pursued steadily. Habit formation naturally supports consistency. When actions become embedded in daily routines, they require less willpower and emotional energy. Someone aiming to improve their health won't see lasting results from occasional extreme workouts. But regular moderate exercise, paired with consistent healthy choices, leads to sustainable transformation. In this rhythm, the habit becomes the engine, and consistency provides the fuel. Consistency does not mean mindlessly repeating the same actions. It means deliberate, purposeful practice. It's about refining our approach, learning from missteps, and gradually improving. Just as musicians revisit scales to strengthen the foundation for more advanced pieces, consistent practice in any field lays the groundwork for excellence and mastery. There is also a profound psychological benefit. Consistency strengthens identity. Every day we honor our commitments. We reinforce a belief in our capability and discipline. Over time, our actions shape who we perceive ourselves to be. The person who writes daily begins to see themselves as a writer. The one who trains faithfully starts to embody the identity of an athlete. Our consistent behaviors become mirrors that reflect our values and potential. Choosing consistency over intensity also protects us from burnout. Extreme bursts of effort can be draining and unsustainable, often leading to fatigue or discouragement. By pacing ourselves, we ensure longevity, maintaining progress even when motivation ebbs. Steady effort endures long after flashes of inspiration fade, creating outcomes that are stable and transformative. In the end, the message is simple. Repeated small steps achieve far more than occasional leaps. Real progress is less like a sprint and more like a long-distance journey, built on patience, commitment, and resilience. Each day offers a chance to inch forward, and those small movements, multiplied over time, create extraordinary change. Consistency over intensity is the quiet engine behind meaningful achievement. It may not dazzle on the surface, but its power is undeniable. By returning to the work day after day, trusting the compounding effect of steady action, we build the foundation for lasting success. The road to mastery and fulfillment is paved not with explosive effort, but with deliberate, consistent steps taken again and again. Chapter 5. Crafting your personal standard. Excellence is not a universal formula. It is deeply personal. What is great for one person may be ordinary for another. Crafting a personal standard is the act of defining what excellence means for you, your life, your work, and your relationships, and holding yourself accountable to that vision. It is the compass that guides your actions, ensuring that even small efforts are aligned with a larger purpose. Without a personal standard, consistency and focus risk wandering aimlessly, and the impact of your actions may be diluted. The first step in crafting a personal standard is reflection. Consider what matters most in your life and how you want to show up in each area. Ask yourself, what values do I want to embody? What behaviors reflect the person I aspire to be? What benchmarks signal that I am moving toward my goals? These questions may seem abstract, but they form the foundation of a meaningful standard. Your personal standard is not about perfection. It is about clarity, intentionality, and commitment to the best version of yourself. Once you define your standard, the next step is specificity. A personal standard must be concrete enough to guide action. For example, instead of saying, "I want to be a good communicator," you might define your standard as, "I will listen actively in every conversation, respond thoughtfully, and follow up promptly when commitments are made." Instead of a vague goal like "I want to be healthier," you might commit to walking 30 minutes a day, eating vegetables at every meal, and getting adequate sleep. Clear standards create clear expectations, making it easier to recognize progress and stay accountable. Personal standards are not static. They evolve as you grow. The key is to set benchmarks that are challenging yet attainable, pushing you beyond comfort without becoming discouraging. A standard should inspire you to stretch, not paralyze you with unrealistic demands. For instance, if you are a writer, a personal standard might involve writing daily, revising work carefully, and submitting drafts for feedback. As your skills develop, the standard may evolve to include more complex projects, collaborations, or public presentations. This evolution ensures that your standard remains aligned with your growth rather than stagnating into routine. Developing a personal standard also requires consistency in self-evaluation. Excellence is not just about effort. It is about alignment with your defined benchmarks. Periodically reviewing your progress allows you to identify gaps, recalibrate strategies, and reinforce habits that support your goals. Without reflection, even consistent action can drift from purpose. Standards serve as both compass and mirror. They point you toward your vision and reflect how closely your actions align with it. Psychologically, a personal standard shapes identity. When you consistently meet your own benchmarks, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, disciplined, and committed. This alignment between values, action, and identity strengthens confidence and resilience. Over time, your standard becomes internalized, guiding decisions effortlessly. You begin to operate from a place of self-respect and intentionality, rather than relying on external validation or arbitrary expectations. Crafting a personal standard is also about embracing ownership. It is easy to follow society's definitions of success, compare yourself to others, or chase superficial achievements. A personal standard shifts the focus inward, grounding your efforts in values, priorities, and benchmarks that resonate with you. By taking ownership of your standard, you reclaim control over your actions, choices, and ultimately, the trajectory of your life. Importantly, personal standards do not exist in isolation. They shape interactions with others. High standards inspire respect, create trust, and elevate the performance of those around you. When you consistently show up with integrity, thoughtfulness, and dedication, you model a level of excellence that others naturally emulate. Your standard becomes a ripple effect, influencing not only your own life but the environment you inhabit. Ultimately, crafting a personal standard is about defining the framework within which your small actions accumulate into meaningful outcomes. It is a commitment to yourself to operate at your best, consistently, thoughtfully, and intentionally. Excellence is not accidental. It is guided by a conscious standard that elevates ordinary tasks into purposeful practice. By establishing, refining, and living by your personal standard, you ensure that every effort, no matter how small, contributes to the life you aspire to lead. Chapter 6. Turning routine into ritual. Many of life's most important tasks are routine. They are the small, repetitive actions that form the backbone of our days. Making the bed, preparing meals, answering emails, or practicing a skill. Because these actions are ordinary, it is easy to approach them with indifference or even resentment. Yet, the way we engage with these daily routines can define the quality of our work, our relationships, and our personal growth. Transforming routine into ritual is about infusing these ordinary actions with intention, meaning, and pride. In doing so, small acts cease to be mundane. They become expressions of excellence and purpose. The first step in this transformation is mindset. Rather than viewing a routine as a chore, approach it as an opportunity to practice discipline, skill, and care. Consider the act of making your morning coffee. For some, it is merely a necessity. For others, it can become a mindful ritual, grinding the beans carefully, savoring the aroma, and appreciating the process. The action itself has not changed, but the attention and intention applied to it elevate it into a meaningful practice. By shifting how we perceive routine, we imbue ordinary actions with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Consistency plays a crucial role in ritualizing routine. Rituals are built on repetition. They rely on the steady performance of small actions until they become second nature. Over time, these repeated actions create structure, predictability, and momentum in our lives. An athlete who warms up the same way before every training session, a writer who journals at the same hour each morning, or a musician who practices scales daily, all these practices turn what could be mundane tasks into rituals that support mastery. The predictability of ritual creates a foundation upon which growth and excellence can flourish. Attention to detail is another defining feature of ritual. While routines are often performed on autopilot, rituals demand presence. This doesn't mean every action must be extraordinary. Rather, it means giving careful attention to the process. By noticing small aspects that are often overlooked, how the sunlight falls on your desk, the sound of a pen on paper, the rhythm of your breath during exercise, you enhance engagement and quality. Ritual transforms ordinary tasks into moments of focus and refinement, strengthening both skill and character. Rituals also cultivate a sense of pride and ownership. When a task is performed mindfully, it becomes a reflection of your values and identity. Preparing a workspace with care, responding to emails thoughtfully, or dedicating time to skill practice is no longer a perfunctory act. It becomes a statement of who you are and the standards you uphold. This sense of ownership reinforces motivation, turning repetition from obligation into a meaningful practice. Over time, rituals shape identity. demonstrating that the way we approach daily life defines the quality of our achievements. Moreover, turning routine into ritual can enhance psychological well-being. Rituals provide structure and predictability, which create a sense of stability in an often chaotic world. They foster mindfulness, reduce stress, and promote engagement in the present moment. By treating routine actions as intentional rituals, we transform mundane tasks into opportunities for reflection, gratitude, and personal growth. This shift in perspective turns daily repetition into a source of energy rather than a drain, encouraging consistency and resilience. Ritualization also amplifies the cumulative effect of small actions. When a task is elevated from routine to ritual, the care, attention, and intention applied to it increase its impact. A simple act, like practicing scales on a musical instrument, when performed as a ritual, strengthens not only skill but discipline and focus. A daily writing habit, treated as a ritual, refines both voice and thought. The ordinary becomes extraordinary through deliberate attention and repeated practice. Ultimately, transforming routine into ritual is about choice. It is the conscious decision to approach daily life with care, purpose, and presence. It demonstrates that excellence is not reserved for grand moments or monumental achievements. It exists in how we perform small, repeated actions. By turning routine into ritual, we reclaim control over our habits, elevate ordinary tasks into meaningful practices, and create a life shaped by intention and excellence. In the end, the rituals we cultivate become the scaffolding of our lives. They are the small, deliberate actions that, repeated consistently, compound into skill, character, and lasting impact. By infusing ordinary routines with attention, pride, and meaning, we unlock the hidden potential of everyday life, turning the mundane into a foundation for extraordinary results. Chapter 7. Small Wins, Big Motivation. Motivation is often portrayed as a sudden surge of energy or inspiration that propels us to achieve great things. In reality, motivation is far more subtle and sustainable when it is built incrementally, through small wins. These seemingly minor victories, completing a task, sticking to a routine, or making slight progress toward a goal, act as powerful catalysts for continued action. By recognizing and celebrating small wins, we create momentum, reinforce positive habits, and cultivate a sense of progress that fuels larger achievements. Small wins are powerful because they provide immediate feedback. Progress, even in tiny increments, signals that effort leads to results. This feedback loop strengthens confidence and reinforces the behavior that produced the success. Consider someone learning a new language. Mastering a single phrase or understanding a short conversation may feel insignificant at first, yet it demonstrates tangible improvement and motivates continued practice. Each small achievement validates the effort invested, creating a sense of capability and momentum. The psychological impact of small wins is profound. Large goals, such as writing a book, launching a business, or completing a marathon, can feel overwhelming when viewed as a whole. The sheer scale of the task can induce doubt, procrastination, or inaction. Small wins break the larger objective into manageable, achievable steps, making progress visible and tangible. They transform a daunting journey into a series of achievable milestones, each reinforcing the belief that the goal is within reach. Small wins also amplify intrinsic motivation. When progress is visible, the sense of satisfaction derived from effort increases. This internal reward, pride, competence, and self-efficacy drives continued action far more effectively than external incentives alone. Athletes often rely on this principle. Each successful repetition, each improved personal record, reinforces their commitment to training. Entrepreneurs, too, celebrate small victories, such as gaining a new client or solving a minor operational problem, to maintain energy and enthusiasm for the larger mission. Celebrating small wins does not require grand gestures. It can be as simple as acknowledging completion of a daily task, tracking incremental progress in a journal, or sharing achievements with a supportive community. The key is to recognize that progress, no matter how modest, matters. By consciously marking these moments, we reinforce the connection between effort and result, motivating ourselves to continue taking action consistently. Importantly, small wins create momentum that compounds over time. Each minor success builds on the last, producing a cumulative effect far greater than any single large effort could achieve. A student mastering one concept per day eventually builds comprehensive knowledge. A professional improving one process at a time ultimately transforms an entire workflow. The ripple effect of small wins demonstrates that progress is rarely sudden. It is built gradually, through repeated, deliberate effort. Small wins also foster resilience. When challenges or setbacks occur, they can easily demoralize us if we measure progress solely by major milestones. By recognizing smaller achievements along the way, we maintain a sense of accomplishment, which buffers against frustration and discouragement. This perspective enables persistence in the face of difficulty, reinforcing the principle that consistent effort, no matter how incremental, ultimately leads to significant outcomes. Finally, the habit of celebrating small wins encourages a proactive, engaged mindset. It trains us to notice progress, value effort, and seek improvement continuously. It shifts focus from waiting for external validation or monumental success to taking responsibility for our growth and development. Each small victory becomes a stepping stone, building confidence, skill, and momentum for the next challenge. Ultimately, small wins are the fuel that sustains long-term achievement. They transform effort into motivation, routine into purpose, and incremental progress into extraordinary outcomes. By consciously recognizing, celebrating, and building upon these minor victories, we unlock a powerful feedback loop that amplifies effort, strengthens habits, and propels us toward larger goals. In the journey of mastery and impact, it is the accumulation of small wins, not sporadic brilliance, that defines lasting success. Chapter 8. The Ripple Effect of Small Acts. We often assume that making a difference requires grand gestures, public recognition, or large-scale initiatives. Yet, in reality, the most profound influence frequently begins with small, thoughtful acts. The ripple effect of small actions demonstrates that excellence and intentionality in even the tiniest matters can create waves of impact far beyond what we initially perceive. By committing to quality, care, and integrity in everyday actions, we inspire others, foster trust, and contribute to change in ways that extend far beyond our immediate sphere. Every action, no matter how minor, carries potential influence. Holding a door open, offering a sincere compliment, responding promptly to an email, or completing a task with care, all of these actions model a standard of behavior. People notice consistency, attention, and respect, even when it is subtle. Just as a stone dropped in water creates expanding ripples, a single deliberate act can inspire responses and behaviors in others that multiply its effect. Leadership, in this sense, is less about authority and more about example, the quiet demonstration of values that others naturally emulate. Consider the workplace, where excellence in small tasks can transform culture. An employee who consistently completes work with attention to detail, supports colleagues, and communicates clearly elevates the expectations of the team. Over time, these behaviors influence norms, creating an environment where quality and accountability are contagious. The ripple effect is not immediate, but its impact is enduring, shaping attitudes, relationships, and outcomes long after the initial action occurs. Small acts also have a cumulative effect on relationships. Acts of thoughtfulness, listening carefully, offering encouragement, expressing gratitude, may seem minor in isolation, but they build trust, loyalty, and goodwill over time. A friend who remembers small details, a partner who consistently shows appreciation, or a colleague who offers help without being asked strengthens bonds in ways that are invisible at first but transformative in the long run. In personal and professional spheres alike, small, consistent gestures of care create a ripple effect that fosters stronger connections, collaboration, and positive influence. The ripple effect extends to personal development as well. Excellence in small actions reinforces habit, character, and skill, which then shapes future decisions. For instance, a musician who practices scales daily not only develops technical ability but cultivates discipline, focus, and patience. These qualities influence other areas of life, from professional conduct to personal relationships, creating a cascading effect of growth and capability. In this way, small acts of commitment to excellence extend their influence beyond the immediate task, shaping identity and potential over time. Understanding the ripple effect also helps reframe the value of everyday choices. It is easy to dismiss seemingly minor actions, thinking they do not matter. Yet small decisions, how we speak, how we treat others, how we complete tasks, accumulate, creating a trajectory of influence that is both subtle and profound. A habit of punctuality, for example, conveys reliability. A habit of generosity encourages reciprocity. A habit of attentiveness fosters respect. These small actions shape the environment, perceptions, and behaviors of those around us, demonstrating that influence begins in the ordinary. Moreover, the ripple effect encourages intentionality. When we recognize that our choices and actions extend beyond ourselves, we become more mindful of how we engage with the world. Excellence, attention, and integrity in small matters become not just a personal standard, but a contribution to a larger ecosystem. By acting thoughtfully and consistently, we plant seeds of influence that may grow in ways we cannot immediately observe, touching lives, shaping perspectives, and inspiring positive change. Ultimately, the ripple effect of small acts reminds us that greatness is rarely the result of singular, dramatic interventions. It is the product of repeated, thoughtful choices that resonate outward. By approaching daily life with care, integrity, and intentionality, we create waves that extend far beyond the immediate moment, influencing people, relationships, and environments in meaningful ways. Small actions, when compounded and multiplied through the ripple effect, become forces for transformation, quiet, steady, and enduring. The challenge, then, is to act consistently with awareness of this potential. Excellence in small things is never wasted. It is the starting point for broader impact. By embracing the ripple effect, we move beyond the idea that influence requires grandeur, discovering instead that the cumulative power of small acts is sufficient to shape lives, communities, and legacies in profound and lasting ways. Chapter 9. Overcoming the urge for perfection. Perfection is often seen as the ultimate goal, a flawless performance, a flawless product, or a flawless life. Yet, the pursuit of perfection can be paralyzing. It convinces us that only extraordinary results are worthwhile and that anything less is failure. This mindset can stall progress, suppress creativity, and even undermine confidence. Overcoming the urge for perfection is not about abandoning standards or settling for mediocrity. It is about learning to balance excellence with progress, embracing imperfection as part of the journey, and recognizing that meaningful achievement is rarely flawless. One of the first steps in overcoming perfectionism is understanding its cost. Perfectionism is seductive because it promises control, recognition, and self-worth. But it often achieves the opposite. The fear of making mistakes can prevent action altogether, leaving projects unfinished, opportunities unseized, and potential untapped. Perfectionists may spend excessive time refining minor details while missing the bigger picture, or they may procrastinate indefinitely, waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect version of their work. In reality, progress is impossible without action, and excellence thrives in motion, not in hesitation. Shifting focus from perfection to progress is essential. Progress-oriented thinking emphasizes consistent effort, learning, and growth. Each action, even if imperfect, contributes to improvement. Writing a rough draft, completing a first iteration of a project, or attempting a skill without mastery is not failure. It is a necessary step toward competence. By valuing incremental improvement over flawless execution, we free ourselves to take risks, experiment, and learn from mistakes, which ultimately accelerates growth and achievement. Another key strategy is redefining what good enough means. Good enough is not mediocrity. It is a practical, thoughtful standard that prioritizes completion, effectiveness, and meaningful impact. It allows us to move forward while maintaining a commitment to quality. For example, a designer may strive for clarity and usability in their work rather than obsessing over aesthetic perfection in every detail. A student may aim to fully understand concepts rather than memorize every possible fact. By setting realistic and purposeful standards, we strike a balance between high quality and achievable progress. Perfectionism is often rooted in fear of criticism, failure, or judgment. Addressing this fear requires shifting mindset from external validation to internal standards. When our sense of worth is tied to perfection, every flaw feels like a personal failure. By focusing instead on learning, growth, and contribution, we liberate ourselves from the pressure of being flawless. Each mistake becomes an opportunity for insight, each misstep a chance to refine skills and approach. Excellence becomes a journey, not a burden. A practical approach to managing perfectionism is to adopt incremental action with iterative refinement. Rather than attempting to produce a flawless final product in one go, embrace cycles of creation, review, and improvement. This method aligns with the principle of small, consistent actions, allowing progress to compound while reducing anxiety about imperfection. It acknowledges that mastery is built over time, through repeated effort and careful adjustment. Equally important is cultivating self-compassion. Perfectionists often judge themselves harshly, magnifying minor errors and overlooking progress. Recognizing that mistakes are part of learning and that effort matters more than flawlessness encourages resilience and motivation. Self-compassion does not excuse laziness or lack of discipline. It empowers action by creating a supportive internal environment where risks can be taken and growth can occur. Finally, Overcoming the urge for perfection requires perspective. Life is complex, unpredictable, and rarely flawless. Waiting for perfection guarantees delay, while taking deliberate, thoughtful action creates tangible results. By valuing progress, embracing imperfection, and committing to consistent effort, we achieve far more than those who are stalled by unrealistic standards. The goal is not perfection, it is excellence, expressed through mindful, intentional action over time. Ultimately, freeing ourselves from perfectionism transforms both our productivity and our experience of life. We learn to act boldly, refine deliberately, and value the process as much as the outcome. We recognize that small, imperfect actions, performed consistently, accumulate into significant results. Overcoming the urge for perfection is about choosing progress over paralysis, action over fear, and growth over the illusion of flawlessness. In doing so, we reclaim the joy, satisfaction, and effectiveness that perfectionism often obscures, allowing excellence to flourish quietly, steadily, and sustainably. Chapter 10. Living a Life of Quiet Greatness. Greatness is often portrayed as loud, visible, and celebrated. A life filled with accolades, recognition, and grand achievements. Yet, true greatness does not always seek attention. It is often quiet, subtle, and measured, emerging from consistent, thoughtful actions, integrity, and care in the smallest of things. Living a life of quiet greatness means embracing the power of small actions, cultivating excellence in daily habits, and creating a legacy defined not by spectacle, but by substance, influence, and enduring impact. At the heart of quiet greatness is intentionality. It begins with a conscious decision to act with care, integrity, and attention to detail, regardless of whether anyone is watching. It is the small, deliberate choices, preparing work carefully, speaking with kindness, honoring commitments, and showing respect to others, that distinguish an ordinary life from one of quiet significance. Over time, these consistent actions accumulate, creating results and relationships that matter, often in ways unseen but deeply felt. A life of quiet greatness is rooted in humility. It does not require validation, applause, or recognition. Instead, it thrives on intrinsic motivation and the satisfaction of doing work well. Humility allows individuals to focus on contribution rather than ego, to prioritize meaningful effort over public acclaim, and to approach tasks with diligence rather than display. Quiet greatness often goes unnoticed by the world in the moment, yet its effects ripple outward, influencing communities, inspiring others, and shaping environments in profound and lasting ways. Consistency is a defining feature of quiet greatness. It is not the occasional extraordinary effort that creates lasting impact, but the daily practice of excellence. Showing up reliably, giving full attention to responsibilities, and maintaining high standards, even in small, routine tasks, builds trust, mastery, and influence. Like a slow-moving river carving a canyon, the steady accumulation of thoughtful actions over time leaves a mark far greater than any single, dramatic gesture ever could. Another hallmark of quiet greatness is integrity. It is reflected in the alignment between words and actions, values, and behaviors. People who live with integrity create stability and trust in their relationships, whether personal or professional. They honor commitments, keep promises, and take responsibility for mistakes. This integrity is not performative. It is the natural expression of character, quietly shaping environments, inspiring respect, and influencing others to act similarly. Living a life of quiet greatness also involves mindful presence. It requires paying attention to the people, tasks, and circumstances around you, approaching each with care and thoughtfulness. Mindful presence transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful connections. A conversation held with full attention, an act of kindness performed without expectation, or a task completed with care becomes a reflection of character and contributes to the cultivation of excellence. These moments, though often invisible to others, accumulate into a life defined by thoughtful engagement and meaningful impact. The ripple effect of small, quiet actions cannot be overstated. A person who consistently demonstrates reliability, kindness, and competence influences those around them more profoundly than someone who seeks grandeur without substance. The behaviors modeled through quiet greatness create environments that encourage excellence, accountability, and care. Over time, this influence spreads beyond immediate interactions, shaping communities, organizations, and even broader societal norms. Quiet greatness is also about legacy, the lasting effect of a life well lived. While fame fades and recognition is fleeting, the outcomes of consistent, thoughtful action endure. Skills developed, relationships nurtured, standards maintained, and values embodied continue to resonate long after the individual is gone. A life of quiet greatness leaves a legacy not measured by trophies or headlines, but by the depth of influence, the strength of character, and the positive change effected through small, deliberate actions. Ultimately, living a life of quiet greatness is a conscious choice to act with purpose, uphold personal standards, cultivate integrity, and honor the value of small actions. It is a commitment to excellence in everyday life, recognizing that the accumulation of thoughtful, intentional behavior is the true measure of achievement. By embracing quiet greatness, we move beyond the pursuit of external validation, discovering fulfillment, influence, and legacy through the steady practice of care, attention, and excellence in all we do. In the end, quiet greatness teaches us that the most profound impact often begins in the unnoticed, the routine, and the small. It demonstrates that the life well lived is not the one marked by spectacle, but by consistency, integrity, and intentionality. By integrating these principles into daily life, we create a legacy of substance and meaning, proof that greatness need not shout to be seen, and that the cumulative effect of thoughtful, consistent action is nothing short of extraordinary.